Check, check, 1, 2. Am I on? I'm hot. What am I supposed to?
Started.
Boys and girls, ladies and gents, welcome to another episode of Stadium Miguel. It's your favorite Uncle Silk.
It's Dan.
And Dellatorre.
Same corner, same time. Fresh off a moral victory Saturday. How you guys feeling?
I'll take the moral victory. You know, a lot of people were in my mentions about this is how you lose a football program when you start accepting moral victories. And, you know, we shouldn't be happy that our team lost. I'm like, listen, I did my job. I cheered, right. You know. My opinion of the game matters absolutely zero, and both the outcome of that game or the performance in the next game. So I'll take it.
The opinion of the game, my opinion of the game matters to me, right? So if I like we lost, I mean I'm upset we lost. We gotta we'll get into all that. Bottom line is, those boys put out a good performance. They played better than we all thought they would play. To keep it a buck, people got like they said what they wanted to say, but none of us thought they was going to play that well, and they did. So I'm going to enjoy those guys' hard efforts, and we're going to see those boys again in Atlanta.
Absolutely.
What you got? Nick, how you feeling?
Good. I mean, I'm sitting here Monday feeling better about Florida than I did Friday. So there's no moral victories. I mean, the loss is 1 point or 60 points. It's still a loss in the record books. But I'm impressed with the way Florida showed up. And I didn't predict Florida to win the game, not even close. But I did say, hey, Dan Mullen can X and O with the best of them and game plan. So, I mean, we'll get more into the game. But I think Florida had a great plan. I'm glad that Dan executed his game plan, cheering from home. Sounds like there was no miscommunications, no missed tackles on the couch.
No, I did all of my assignments. I was exactly where I needed to be the entire game, you know. I had a couple beers, was surrounded with family. You know, I wanted to be up there, but it was my dad's 70th birthday, which I told you guys about last week. I didn't know it was a complete surprise to him. So he acted surprised when I got there, but the whole event was supposed to be a surprise in Fort Myers. So we did this.
Oh, you ruined the surprise.
I think so. But my dad acted like I did. You know, like my family's down in Coral Springs. My brother and his wife and their kids are down there too. So we did this like triangulation thing. We were going to meet in Fort Myers. And I was talking to my mom, I think the day before we left, and she was talking. I said, "Are you excited about tomorrow?" She was like, "Uh-huh." And I was like, "Wait, you're not more excited?" She's like, "Well, it's a surprise for your dad." And I'm like, "Well, shoot, I totally dropped the ball last week on Stadium Miguel, and I know he listened to it on Tuesday. So hopefully he just skimmed right past that part." But
no. Shout out to your dad for being a stand-up guy and being fake surprised. It takes a stand-up guy to do that.
Hell yeah, dude. Happy 70th birthday. It was my dad's birthday yesterday. So 70 good years, doing a great job. And I appreciate him and I love him. So I had a great weekend.
Oh, shout out to Dad for listening to the podcast. Yeah. My dad's listening. Today is his birthday. So
nice, bro.
A couple great men born in September, Dan.
Yeah,
Mr. Thompson.
My dad's born in September too. That's crazy.
How about that?
3 great men born in September.
That is nuts. That's weird a little bit.
Oh man, I've met Silk. I met your dad, Nick. I don't think I've had the chance to meet your dad yet, or maybe it was in passing one time, but all great men from what I know about it. But Nick, I want to get into the game a little bit. Before you do that, Silk, why don't you do the Brunt ad read just because it involves the game a bit.
Already. Shout out to the great folks at Brunt Insurance and Financial Services. Anything you need insured from the Panhandle to the Keys, be sure to visit bruntinsurance.com. Boat, auto, trailer insurance, business insurance, life insurance, anything you may need insured, my man Greg got you. 954-589-2204. Big coverage.
Absolutely. Well, Silk, I know you were up in Gainesville Friday night. Nick, obviously you were at the game. I
was up there Friday night. I didn't go up there for the game. I went there for the shenanigans a little bit.
But it seemed like the shenanigans Friday, it seemed like Gainesville was absolutely rocking. Silk, tell me about your time up there. And then, Nick, let's talk about the game a bit.
Oh, no, let's just get into the game. We can get into my white Buffalo shenanigans later.
Well, Nick, talk to us about the atmosphere. It seemed like from all the pictures and Instagram and everything else that Gainesville was rocking. It seemed like this was probably the first time in maybe since that Ole Miss game a few years ago that the place was absolutely rocking from before the game, you know, through the entirety of it.
Yeah, I mean, you could Friday night you could feel it. I mean, 2 hours to get into anywhere except for Balls. Balls was probably empty.
Got it.
But I mean, I felt it
Empty
Thursday. Getting into the manscaped ad read earlier there.
Yeah, we're practicing.
I could feel it Thursday, just driving around town, just trying to like do regular things, trying to go to Publix, and you can see that there's traffic building up. Friday, everything was slammed. And then I tried to get to the stadium a little bit early. It took me 45 minutes, to drive the 4 miles from my house to campus. So I felt, all right, this is gonna be different. Maybe it is a real sellout because the fake sellout in Tampa a couple weeks before that. That was ridiculous. So I was excited. I was looking forward to it. And shout out to the fans. We did a story on Rivals giving game balls. I gave the fans a game ball. How many times did Alabama either call a timeout or have a procedural penalty? That was the loudest game I've ever been in covering it.
Wow.
I was at, the South Carolina game, the cock block. I was at Tebow's senior day. Like it was that kind of loud. Like when Michael P. Ryan broke that run against Auburn and how loud it got, like that's how it sustained loud it was for most part of the game. So really cool environment. Tom Petty was like goosebump. Really, really cool environment. And I was surprised. So Florida wins the toss and defers. And I'm like, Alabama's about to march down this field, score. Emory's going to throw an interception. It's going to be 14-0 real quick. And you've just like taken the fans out of the game. I thought, win the toss, take it. Me of little faith. But yeah, the fans stayed in it and for sure made an impact. It was a really, really cool place to be Saturday.
That's
awesome.
awesome.
The city was rocking, man. I was telling Dan pre-show, I contemplating going to the tailgate in the morning. I had to get back to South Florida for some business and family stuff. So I got on the road. The only reason I went to Gainesville was for business, to be honest. But while I was there, may as well just check out White Buffalo, right? So
I'll be there Friday.
I was telling Dan, I contemplated hitting Annie's tailgate or a couple other tailgates before I got on the road. But I knew if I got close to that stadium, bro, it was going to be a wrap that I was going to end up, not taking care of business. So I just hopped on the road. But Gainesville was buzzing. Like Friday night, man, you know how it is, Dan.
I do. I'm excited to get back to the swamp in a game like that. I don't think the game this weekend against Tennessee is going to rock the same way. But, man, I'm glad you guys both got the chance to experience that atmosphere. So, Gators do end up losing to Alabama 31-29. The Gators go down early 21-3, end up marching back, outscoring Alabama 26-10 to end the game, held Alabama to less than 100 yards rushing. It's the first time Alabama has been held to under 100 rushing yards, and the Gators' rushing attack was on point where they rushed for over 200 yards. It's the first time that's happened since 2007 to Alabama. So Gators start off slow, but end up really turning around in the second, third, and fourth quarters. Offensive line looked a little bit better. The Gators were able to gash up the middle. Emory Jones, starts to get a little bit more comfortable and make some throws. But let's get down a little bit to the game. First quarter, kind of everything that could go wrong did go wrong. Alabama does march down, like you said, Nick, and score. The Gators march all the way down.
They got help.
Yeah, and I want to talk about that once we kind of break this down because there was some real questionable calls here. Gators go down. They end up getting stopped in the red zone, settle for a field goal after it does look like they were going to go for it on fourth down. Lots of missed tackles, and then a couple of phantom pass interference calls. So what was your guys' thoughts in the first quarter, and let's break it down from there.
Good, so.
First quarter, I thought the first drive, we had some chances to get off the field. Refs helped them out one play. That shouldn't have been pass interference on Kyer and just lockdown defense. Beautiful defense. Refs bailed them out. We still had some third and longs that we got to get off the field on. I thought Todd, Todd's getting some grief on the timeline, but I guess we're watching different football games. I've seen players in position to make plays, not three-star project kids either, like highly recruited guys that are in place that need to make tackles in big games versus big-time players in a loud swamp, So I thought we had a lot of opportunities to get off the field that first drive, and we let them off the hook. So it's just a drive that if we win, we get them off the field and we go down and score. Of course, that game changed, but that was my thing about the first drive was just the refs helped them out a little bit, and then we helped them out a lot by just not making one-on-one tackles in space.
Yeah, I mean, Kyrie Elam even said it today. Like Grantham had a great game plan. I think some people are just like already like so done with Todd Grantham that anything bad happens, it's just like if a team scores, it's like, oh, fire Grantham. It's like you're missing a bunch of tackles. Like Todd's not out there tackling, and guys are in position to make tackles, and he can't, make somebody take a better, route or a better angle at a guy. So I thought Florida's defensive game plan was good. For the third straight week that, Alabama hitting like those short, quick passes where, trying to negate Florida's pass rush. I thought Florida was able to get to the quarterback a little bit with just 4. And we talked about that, not blitzing Bryce and getting home and affecting the quarterback with just 4 or 5 guys. You just made too many mistakes, I think, against a team like Alabama that you're not going to, overcome. But I'm sitting there 21-3, and I'm thinking this is going to get ugly. So, still being able to come back and the offense still moving the ball. I mean, we're sitting here talking last week, throwing Emory Jones a funeral. Got to give credit where it's due. He had a good game. I mean, he didn't have a perfect game.
Offense started slow as well, though. We was down 21-3, and if we playing a team like Bama, it's not like we were surprised that they scored 21 points. Like everybody gonna give Grantham a hard time, but nobody shot that if Bama got 21 points, right? So you got to have an offensive mindset that we got to go get some points to keep pace. So not only did the defense started slow, both parties started slow, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Just an overall slow start.
It almost like they had to get like punched in the mouth first. I mean, you didn't have to get up for this game.
It felt a little bit like a Georgia game on the comeback. So when we started coming back, I started getting that Georgia feel. But we weren't as explosive as we was last year. But it's kind of like the Georgia field last year. We just started off crazy slow. We had to play catch up, but we was a lot more explosive last year. Yeah,
I mean, Alabama touchdown, and quick too. I mean, 8 plays, 75 yards, 7 75, 6 plays for 38 right after the interception. But then second quarter, the defense shows up. I mean, Alabama had 3 yards in the second quarter, 3 straight 3-and-outs. And
who's doing that to Bama these days? Like,
nobody.
You gotta be fair. Like people have these insane takes. Like who's making Bama go out? And I tweeted that because people was giving them a hard time. And like I'm with everybody else too. After last year, fire Grantham, right? But we're down 21-3. My defense is giving us 3 stops. I'm like, they're giving us a chance to still be in this game. If they fold like last year, this becomes to a boat race, and we get boat raced out in our own place. But they gave us a shot with 3 straight stops to get us back in the game.
Yeah, that was only the third time in the last 2 years against an SEC opponent that Alabama had less than a 55 or 60% third down rate. I think Florida did as good as you can, right? I mean, Alabama came out and they weren't trying to go over top of Florida. They were doing a lot of dunking, a lot of slants, and a lot of crossing routes. That allowed them to pick up chunk yards. I thought that Todd Grantham, I thought the defense played really well to adjust to that. And Alabama is a team full of 5 stars all over the place, right? And I thought that Florida did a really good job not only matching up to them talent-wise, but scheme-wise. I thought that Dan Mullen called an outstanding game on offense. I thought that Todd Grantham, once they figured out what they were doing, really made some huge adjustments and really allowed Florida to win. We knew Alabama was going to score points, but, Florida held Alabama to the fewest rushing yards they've had in a game in a year and a half since they had, I think it was against Mississippi State in 2019. So, Florida came in and really did a great job. And, we talked about it, at the beginning, just a couple small things fall maybe in Florida's favor. Maybe instead of that defensive pass interference against Kyrie Elam, that stops them. They punt the ball. They don't score a touchdown there. There was that other pass interference call against Trey Dean. And then there was the one against Avery Helm. And, the video is a little suspect on that one. Some people say he's maybe pulling the jersey, but there were some interesting play calls that allowed Alabama to get bailed out, and they capitalized on those. And Florida just, we were close, but just not quite there. And, that's where we talk about, you make a couple, strategic decisions, to improve this team. Recruiting gets just marginally better. And, we've talked about it before. Dan Mullen can scheme with the rest of them, and that's, still maintains my opinion. It's even stronger now than it was before the game.
I mean, on that note, I said it all week, like X's and O's are cool, but at some point the Jimmys and the Joes, I thought we'd get to a point, and I thought, in the first quarter we were getting there, where it looked like Florida didn't belong on the field with Alabama, and that there was going to be a clear gap between Alabama and Florida. And I'm already sitting there thinking, hey, my story after the game is going to be like, Dan Mullen called it a measuring stick game, and here's how far away you are.
Yeah.
But that's not what we saw. So I think, the running game also, if you look and you're thinking, all right, well, sure, Florida's, number one in the country after 2 weeks, but you ran the ball against USF and FAU. Unless Alabama sucks. And people I talk to that cover Alabama,
no, you already said they're like the best team in the world. Like, you didn't have a shot. I'm saying unless Alabama sucks, and we've yet to find that out. The people that I talked to all week that cover Alabama think this is going to could be Alabama's best defense Nick Saban has had, and Florida gashed Alabama running the ball. So the other favorite scapegoat, John Hevesy, shout out to him, and the job he's getting, and the performances he's getting out of those offensive linemen. Because I mean, Florida looks like some bullies up front on both lines of scrimmage. We definitely land on people. Shout out to Malik Davis, man. He just looks very good. Like he's making himself a lot of money. He's just looking smooth, fast. Looking like a totally different back than last year, man. He shook off a lot of rust.
Yeah.
So shout out to Malik Davis that first half, man. Just toting that thing heavy for us.
And then not to be outdone, Florida marches down 99 yards in the third quarter to score a touchdown, relying heavily on Naquan Wright. Damian Pierce, runs the ball really well. And we talked about this running back room being the deepest Florida probably has had in a decade, right? And, we kind of wrote off Malik Davis's role, right? Like we said, hey, maybe he's a guy that gets in the slot. Maybe he's a guy that goes out and catches the ball, but he's running great. Damian Pierce is running great. Naquan Wright's running really well, to a point where, we thought we'd see more DeMarcus Bowman by now. And we certainly thought that we would see some Lorenzo Lingard. And that room is so deep now that Lorenzo Lingard's getting out tweets that, he wants his opportunity as well. And it's like, from who, right? Like which running back is not pulling their weight? And none of them aren't. I think we had high expectations. I think they're exceeding those expectations right now.
Yeah. The overall run game is exceeding expectations. I think they're playing very good football. I do want to speak on, I think one of the issues is Emery's inaccuracy in intermediate throws. I think that's the biggest thing. He played a decent game. I don't think he played a bad game at all. For a kid that got booed, I don't know if they was booing him in particular, but the team got booed, and it was because of the performance the offense was doing because they was on the field at the time. He shook it off and kept playing football, kept his mental and his psychology in the game. He was on point, man. Just from that standpoint, his mental aspect, he's solid. Kid's mentally strong. But they got to work on his intermediate accuracy. Just a lot of balls hitting the dirt on just throws that you got to make between 10 to 17 yards, middle of the field. You just got to make those throws, man. So that's the only concern with Emery is just those intermediate throws and accuracy.
We said that coming into the year, and I've never seen that be part of his game. And that's kind of what I said. I was like, those throws, the 10 to 12, 8 to 12, not necessarily going to get you a first down every time, but, first down, being able to throw, a slant 7 yards and get yourself into a second and third and manageable. And that's where I say, where I get like a Felipe Franks vibes from him, because a big arm, you can make some plays, but it's just those plays we probably took for granted last year with Kyle Trask. And it's just like, yeah, easy 6-yard pass over the middle, 10 yards. I saw him bounce another. I think he got booed after he skipped a pass to somebody.
Yep.
And then Mullen went conservative after the incompletion on first down, and then the boos kept coming because I think the fans didn't like that they went conservative.
Yeah, no, Nick Silk, you're right. Emory Jones on passes that are 10 to 20 yards is 10 of 20. He has 2 interceptions there for just about 150 yards. But beyond 20 yards, he's only 1 for 9 on the season for 35 yards, 1 touchdown and 2 interceptions. So you're exactly right. Emory Jones, I think mentally there. From a composure perspective, still obviously needs to get through his progressions a little bit better. He needs to be able to make decisions a little bit quicker, and you can tell. And I think it's prevalent when you see him throwing off of his back foot that the progressions are still slow. So looking to see the game speed up in his mind a little bit quicker. But it's going to be tough for Florida to really be the team that they can be if you're 11 of 30, 11 of 29 beyond 10 yards, with 3 interceptions. So
I was concerned that game, like the lack of deep shots.
Yeah.
Like the BS scratched the field. Like all our explosive plays came from the run game, which that's fine. Like I'm fine with that. We did hit on the Naquan, that route out of the backfield that went for a big chunk as well in the pass game. But the ball traveling far down the field, we didn't see a lot of that. On the few times that we did, we got the 1 pass interference with Colt. Just one-on-one. They daring us to throw the thing one-on-one situations. We got to take those 50-50 shots with our wide receivers, man. I just want to see more of that.
I mean, I'll keep saying it too because I see it a lot on the timeline. Dan just said it. How many progressions do I want Emory Jones to go through? Like I'm sitting there and I'm in the press box going like, dude, run, go.
Yeah,
like, don't sit back there.
Like he really want to run like that.
My guy, there is green grass in front of you, and small windows for receivers. Take off.
Yeah, no, you're exactly right.
Because him taking off is going to change the defense, so you get bigger passing windows if you start taking off more, in my opinion. But I'm with you. It's a lot of time where I'm just screaming at the TV, "Go, run, like run!" Once I see his head move twice, I'm like, "Yo, go!"
Yeah,
go, bro,
go, bro. No, you guys are right. Anthony Richardson. Emory Jones on the year is averaging, about 6 yards a carry, right? And that includes sacks in there. So, he has the ability to make up yards and get a good chunk of yards. So you do want to see him get through those progressions a little bit quicker, but absolutely we need to be able to see some improvement. It doesn't have to be drastic. It doesn't have to be Kyle Trask, but you've got to be better than 11 of 29 on those, beyond 10-yard balls. On the opposite end, Dan Mullen was asked before the game if Anthony Richardson was going to play, and he said he'd only be used if they absolutely needed him or probably if there's an injury to Emory Jones. There's some discussion. You saw the back flip that he did pregame, and there was obviously some trepidation about, what Dan Mullen was saying. I, for one, did not believe that if Anthony Richardson was completely dressed and able to play in a backup role, that you didn't feel comfortable playing him at all. But what were your guys' thoughts in the fact that Anthony Richardson didn't play? And I want to ask, before you get into that, do you think Anthony Richardson not playing and Emory Jones having kind of the full leeway to play his game helped his confidence at all?
I think that, because Silk mentioned it last week, Anthony comes in, plays well. And listen, I think Emory Jones and Anthony are, legitimately friends and rooting for each other. But Silk mentioned it last week. It's like Ant comes in and does something, and now it's almost like you can feel him breathing down your neck, and Emory starts playing, a little different. I think there is something to like, hey, I don't have to worry about when am I getting, when is Anthony getting his drives? When do I have to come off the field, getting out of a rhythm or anything like that? So I think there is something to that. Is that everything? No. But I think there is something to it. And Anthony, hamstring looked good doing a backflip before the game. Tweeted that out. Timeline got riled up.
My thing about the backflip, like everybody's a doctor and saying like, yo, you can do a backflip if his hamstring's messed up, which is cool, but it's also dorky because I think he sent a message when he did that backflip. I don't think the backflip is just like, yo, I feel like being a gymnast today. I think it was to tell us, yo, this thing feel all right, and I want to play some football. Could he still have been injured? And the coaches and the medical team say, nah, because sometimes you got to hold athletes back. Yeah, that's a possibility. But I think that flip was done on purpose to say, yo, I could play football today.
Because at that point, you've already been told, like, hey, you're
Right.
going in. You're going in. In case of emergency, break glass.
Right.
Anthony Richardson was in there.
The fact that he was on the sidelines means that he was medically cleared. It doesn't mean that he was 100%, and maybe Dan Mullen is saying, hey, if we lose this game, I'm not saying that this is Dan Mullen's mindset at all, but if we lose this game, we are not out of it. This isn't our last chance of potentially, making the SEC, championship game. But I wonder why, and I wonder about the mindset that if he's able to dress out and be able to play in the game in a backup role, or if Emory Jones was struggling, why that completely takes him out of the game. Bro,
they sat Kyle Pitts for no reason last year. So I'm not taking their word for it. Like, it's just an injury thing. I'm not going to take their word for it because I've seen it in the works. I've seen them sit the healthiest, best player in the country, and we lose.
Yeah.
I think it's just being cautious because a grade 1 spraying, my guy runs 20 miles an hour. That could easily turn into a grade 3 and tear and something that might need surgery and season ending. I think if he would have played, they would have been so cautious that they would have just made him, a statue and told him not to run. And at that point, like, okay, well, what are you doing? You're cutting off your nose, to spite your face. So you're going to take his best asset and the best part of his game out because you don't want him to get hurt. Well, if that's the case, then only play him, if Emory's helmet pops off or if Emory gets hurt.
Yeah, I just think, I don't understand the mindset behind it, Silk. I mean, you hit the nail on the head. I'm not going to, beat the dead horse here. But, if the guy's eligible and able to be a backup and that he's an explosive weapon, quite possibly your most explosive weapon on your entire team, to not even have him available for a goal line situation or to just switch things up or to cause Alabama to cause a tie or call a timeout, whatever it might be, that's a strategic weapon that you have. And it was just, I didn't understand the logic behind it, but
Yeah, I'm with you. I'm just not buying it, man. And the look on his face, the kid looked like he wanted to be out there. And like I said, he could be injured, but like I said, if he's injured, like you can say what you want to say, he shouldn't be doing flips, fam.
I didn't think of it that way, Silk, but until you just said it, and it was kind of like, it's like, hey, he was already told, like, yo, you're not playing.
Right.
And that might have been, a round off back tuck message to Dan.
To the fans. You want to let the fans know I'm right.
Hey, let Coach have it.
Off a little bit. Yeah.
He's like, you guys don't know the plan yet, but you're about to see the plan or hear it, and I need you to start tweeting at Coach Dan Mullen.
Yeah. Win or lose, I'm creating controversy,
I think it's the competitive nature. And like I say, he could very well be hurt. And sometimes you got to save athletes from themselves. But like I said, I seen them sit Kyle Pitt last year. So all bets is off my mind. I think they'll bench anybody if they nicked up a little bit or just because they feel like it.
Maybe so. But let's get into we touched briefly on it. Let's talk a little bit about the offensive line. Specifically, I want to shout out Josh Braun and Kingsley. Is we got the official pronunciation, so we can give him a shout out.
Out there. Sorry, I challenge you to say it again, Dan.
Kingsley Egwukan, I thought did a fantastic job. Shout out to the 904 and
beautiful breakdown in there, man.
Yeah, there you go.
Egwukan.
And then I thought, 56 played well. I thought beyond just the offensive line, I thought the wide receivers did outstanding in run blocking. No sacks were allowed, which is incredible against an Alabama front 4 and front 7, which are probably the best in the country. But want to get your guys' thoughts on the offensive line, how you thought that they played.
Yeah, I thought the offensive line, like I mentioned it before, I thought the offensive line won their matchups up front. And I was asked on radio, I forget which show it was, it might have been Chuck Oliver. I was asked on radio, what's the most surprising position group? And I think the offensive line for me is the most surprising one. Like they couldn't couldn't run block at all last year. Not that Florida wanted to run a lot, but when they did try to run, they weren't getting pushed. They weren't creating holes. So for me, it's just like you're asking them to do something completely different than what they did a year ago. And they bullied Alabama. And Alabama's defensive line has a bunch of guys who will be getting, very nice paychecks on Sunday to continue playing football for a while. So the offensive line, Dan said they played 7 and only 4 of those guys graded out. I would grade out the offensive line as a whole. Excuse me, for the way that they played.
Yeah, we ran for 439 yards, man. Oh, I'm sorry, that was total yards. We ran for 258 yards. That's hella impressive versus Bama. I think what was the over under on that, Dan? What were we buying and selling?
250 on rushing.
250. Got there. Overall, I just thought like the linebackers didn't play a great game. The star position was getting picked on a little bit. 16 overran a lot of plays. He don't break down when he come in for tackles.
Yeah.
His angles are a little weird. So I think we got to fix that position right there big time. I was surprised I didn't see a lot more 27. I thought Perkins has been playing very well. 16 was struggling. He came on a little bit late, made some plays when he had to. But early in the game, he gave us some big runs and some big plays just by taking terrible angles and missing one-on-one tackles. So I would like to see 27 more of that position because I thought he'd been playing well. Linebackers got to play a little better as well. Jeremiah Moon is an animal, and I'm glad they found him that position because he was never evaluated for that position coming out of high school. That's a good move by the staff, putting him at middle linebacker because he's looking like a Sunday player right now in that position.
Yeah. Nick, so you mentioned it actually about Jadarius Perkins. Surprised, only gets 2 snaps. The Gators are struggling with
That's egregious.
with Trevis Johnson. I think that he lacks some of the football instinct, right? Some of the angles seem off. He's pretty fast. He's not the fastest guy on the field. And, I think at times he shows what he can do, but, kind of similar to Emory on offense where the game seems to be moving a little too quick is a bit what I'm seeing out of Trevis Johnson. And, I don't think that it's a lost cause. And I think that he has, some of the basics down, but he does look lost out there. And Jadarius Perkins has played that position, I thought, better all season so far. Elijah Blades, again, doesn't play. And so, Florida's left, with, a hole and, they got exposed a number of times, in that hole and, gave up a couple touchdowns.
I thought Abraham grew up a little bit that game. Thought he played better than he played in the previous 2. Held his own, bit on the other side of Elam. They kept being disrespectful and trying Elam with the Michi kid. Only thing that was saving him was the refs. Right?
Yeah.
I thought Gravon Dexter also played a good game on defense.
8 tackles for him. His first career solo sack too. Yeah. I think we're watching him grow up. We're probably watching a couple of these guys still grow up, in front of our eyes. And and that's a big thing for young players too. Like that was a big moment. 3:30 CBS, number 1. Some of these guys maybe had a relationship with Nick Saban, but like Jacob Copeland said it in the week. He's like, dude, that's Nick Saban over there. Like, even if you're competing, you're probably going to look over at some point and you're like, that's like a football god over there, standing on the sideline. So I thought that was big. I thought so my view from the press box, I thought Avery had a handful of jersey on the pass interference. Other than that, I thought he played well, and Trevis had some nice tackles, but I think those first couple drives, first quarter, there were a bunch of I didn't go back and count them, but too many missed tackles.
He had 2 missed tackles, and Trey Dean had 3 missed tackles, and these are official missed tackles. There's probably some other guys that aren't. Nick, I think you meant to say Brenton Cox got his first sack.
No, it was.
Did they give it to Gurk? Because I know Brenton Cox also got his first sack.
Yeah, they Florida had 2.
Okay.
Let me see. Yeah, and it was Mahmoud and
should have been more, man. Bama was holding their ass off, man.
Yeah, Brenton Cox had 1, and it was solo, and Gerv had 1, and it was solo.
Gotcha. Okay.
And I remember reading the note that it was Gervon's first solo sack. He had gotten a half sack before.
Gotcha. I missed that. Yeah, okay. Sorry. What I was looking at said, hey, I only had the Gators with one. So, yeah, Gerv gets his sack. I thought this was Brent Knox's best game. You know, he had the missed interception. I think he got a penalty called on him as well.
Another play design that where you just got to make a play on the ball. Like
Yep.
you designed what the defense man, he got to catch that. Like he's an athlete.
Yeah.
You just in position to change the game right there. Like what do you want from the defensive coordinator? Like you got guys dropping interceptions. Nobody's gonna call a perfect game, especially against Bama. But in that situation, you just an opportunity to make a big time play in a big time game.
Yep.
You're a first round draft pick, make that play.
Yeah. I don't know if you guys want to talk any more about the missed tackles. They seemed prevalent.
It's a reoccurring thing. I mean, it's the same thing from last year. We haven't cleaned up tackling at all. If there is a real gripe with Grantham in that defense, is that tackling. A lot of reaching. I said this on the last show. I'm concerned with the arm tackling, the reaching at people, the arms. Like you got to bring shoulder pads to people and wrap up. Not trying to blow anything up. So I mean, it's just the same old missed tackles.
Yeah, the Gators end according to Pro Football Focus with 14 missed tackles in the game, which is you can't have against Alabama. Obviously, you're going to have missed tackles, but you can't have 14. And they got beat because of it. There was Trey Dean had a missed tackle that ended up going for some yards, and then Trey Dean also gets picked a bit, ends up falling down on the long touchdown that Alabama gets. I believe it was their second touchdown of the game. But how do you guys think the defensive backs and safeties did outside of some of the missed tackles, and then obviously our questions with Travis Johnson out there?
I thought some of the I'm not
on it.
I'm not terribly mad with pass interference. I think that's you're playing aggressive, and I don't want. I would rather Florida make aggressive mistakes in a game like that against Alabama than come out and look timid. And I don't think a lot of those. I think 3 of the 4 pass interferences. I thought Helms looked, at least from my seat, looked legit, but I thought 3 of the 4 weren't. So I'm not mad about that at all. How much did Alabama throw? Bryce Young, like he might be that dude. Like he's going to be good. The ball that Kyrie Elam broke up. Alabama fans were mentioning saying it's a drop. To me, it really looks like Kyrie got a hand in on there. But Bryce was, I think, 22 of 35, and most of those were early on. So pull up his quarterback progression. Like he completed like 5 of his first 6. If you start looking in the second half, there's a stretch where he had 6 straight incompletions. So I think Florida held their own in the secondary. And the secondary is probably where we had our questions going into the game.
Yeah, just looking at the stat sheet, it just reiterates to me, and I get frustrated again. We should have won this football game. Right? Yeah. I think if we made those field goals that like we supposed to, like regular special teams, just routine shit, right? We make those, we go into overtime. The momentum of this game. Looking at the stat, we controlled this game. We started off slow. We had more first downs. We had more total yards. We controlled the time of possession. We lost the turnover battle, but like we moved the ball. We did what we wanted to do on these people. They had more penalty yards with 75. So we were right in our wheelhouse with things. They punted the ball 4 times. We did what we were supposed to do. We just didn't make our field goals. If that thing goes into the overtime, you get a loud swamp in the overtime. They couldn't run the ball in a condensed field. I like us in the overtime, bro. We just got to clean up our small mistakes and do the things championship teams do. But we right where we need to be at, man.
Yep.
Yeah. Not more victories. That's just looking at the small mistakes and saying, yo, let's clean some stuff up. We can go play some football and see this team again in Atlanta.
Absolutely. And that's the way you want to look at it. Florida did hold Alabama to their worst game ever scored by Pro Football Focus, which has been since 2014. So the Gators did everything right. Like you said, Nick, you said it. We talked about it on the last show too. You just got to capitalize on the small mistakes. And, you don't miss that extra point, which Florida brought in a kicker, one of the highest scoring scorers of all time for Mississippi State to come in. He's still not the guy that's taking extra points. I'm not saying that he would have made it or not. I'm just saying, but you got to win those, but I think that Florida put a lot on the field. Now it's a matter of if Florida can continue, right? You put it on the field against Alabama and you try to take, next steps, right? You have Tennessee coming up, you have Kentucky coming up, you have LSU coming up, you have Georgia coming up at the end of October. So now is the opportunity to really capitalize on what you were able to do against Alabama and improve. And then you will see this team in Atlanta. Obviously, they're going to continue to get better as well, but you're going to see them in Atlanta. And I think that Florida matched up really well against Alabama this year. And, maybe the 9th time is a charm. Tired of losing to them, Nick.
And 8 in a row. That's a long. I mean, what it doesn't. It's I can't even wrap my mind around it. Alabama has won 32 straight games over SEC East opponents. Like the last coach to beat him from the East is Spur Dog.
Yeah, in 2010.
Wild.
It is
wild, and not even like close games. He's whooping them. Like, and except for the SEC championship game and last Saturday, he beating them by like 10, 15, 20, just blowing teams out. So you got like we keep saying it. You've got to get over the hump. We think Florida looked good. Certainly impressed with the way that they played with Alabama. But at some point, you've got to get over the hump. And if you want to be a team that's competing for national championships, you have to beat Alabama, not just, hey, you gave them a good game.
Yep.
I thought also, real quick, like in the passing game, I spoke last week, and I thought that the tight ends was going to – I thought he was been hit for a reason. Keon Zipper came out and had a game. Keymore Gamble as well. Zipper went 4 catches for 51 yards. Gamble went 5 for 32. Just 2 guys that got busy. I thought Dan Mullen was like sheltering some of those plays on purpose. And then we got to see some looks real quick out of those guys. Outside of that, I think we needed more plays with guys are catching the ball and running. I feel like my receivers catch balls and they're getting tackled right away. Like there's no separation. I don't know if we need to scheme guys open or guys not running good routes, but it just seems like when Emory are throwing passes to guys, as soon as they catch it, like it's contested shit. Yeah, and they're getting tackled right away. That's what it feels like.
Yeah. Or I mean, is some of that on Emory? Is he not getting the ball to a guy where he can catch it in stride and run?
Yeah, could be. Whatever it is, there's something missing. We're not catching it. We're not catching the ball and running. Unless it's some scheme like with the tight ends. Other than that, like the stuff I seen from the receiver was like contested stuff. Shout out to Rick Wells. That was a big catch as well.
Yeah. You thought that they were hiding the tight ends. I thought they were hiding the tight ends because they weren't good. But they were. I mean, that first drive was the Kamori Gamble drive. Zip had a big catch as well, and maybe they will be a part of that passing game.
Well, there's no reason they shouldn't be.
Well, that's what we talk about with Emory is that I don't think he's good in terms of that intermediate passing game, and that's where the tight ends would be. That'd be their role in the passing game.
Well, you did see a lot of outs, and maybe that's not the right terminology there, but you did see a lot of 4, 5, 6 yard passes to those tight ends that were able to turn the ball upfield and get first downs, right? So right. I think that he's using them very different than Kyle Pitts, who, by the way, watched him play the Bucs yesterday. Just what a menace he is. But anyway, that's where I think that the tight end's role is going to be this year. But you do have to feel bad for, Jacob Copeland, who, he did have, I think, only 1 or 2 passes attempted his way in this game. He had the one long play, and I think that Florida's missing that. They have 291 yards on the entire season, yards after catch. So still not great. But areas to certainly improve, and hope that the Gators are finally going to be able to get over the hump. They have 649 yards passing on the season, and a third of those have come after the catch. So Silk, you hit the nail right on the head that the Gators are catching and then usually getting dunked either into the sideline or tackled right away. So Gators end up going into the Tennessee game this weekend 2-1. But I think all of us certainly very happy with what we saw and know that this team can put it together and be a formidable opponent moving forward, which is what we wanted to see. That was the measuring stick, and damn, we outperformed how I thought we would play. So
not me. I had to win.
You did.
I just thought the crowd, bro. Shout out to the crowd, man. That thing was rocking. When we're good, we got a good product and a big time opponent is coming into the Swamp, I just know we're gonna be in the game because the crowd gonna have us in the game, and Dan Mullen gonna scheme a little bit. So I didn't expect a blowout or them to cover that spread. It did get wicked at 21-3, but we got the scheme and it got into our bag a little bit. So on to Tennessee. I'm ready to – these people are terrible. Let's talk about it.
On to Tennessee. So before we do that, let's give a shout out to our friends over at Game Time Sidekicks. Visit them at GameTimeSidekicks.com or follow them on Twitter at GT Sidekicks. Best of the best when it comes to insulated cups, whether it's an NFL team, an NCAA team, PGA golf, whatever it might be. Visit GameTimeSidekicks.com. Use promo code STADIUM to get 10% off. The best of the best when it comes to insulated cups. Great for tailgating, great for around the house, mowing the lawn, being at the beach, whatever the case might be. Visit GameTimeSidekicks.com. Use promo code STADIUM for 10% off of your order. The Gators going again, another game here in Gainesville. The Gators are going to be playing Tennessee Volunteers. Tennessee is 2-1, come off a 56-0 win over Tennessee Tech. They did lose the game before to Pittsburgh, who lost this past weekend in a terrible fashion, and then they had a win to start the season against
in terrible fashion,
and just absolutely just atrocious.
Bro, shout out to Lucas Kroll playing his 47th year of college football at Pitt.
Yeah, shout out to.
You said his name. I thought he was a coach.
You were like, oh man, he's coaching. Good for him.
Yeah, shout out to Western Michigan who put up 44 points against Pittsburgh. Just absolutely, utterly, just demoralizing loss for them. Tennessee is not good. There's no real way to pin this. Certainly, they are probably better than FAU. They're definitely better than USF. But overall, just a atrocious team. I think, Nick, you put it in here. Tennessee is ranked 117th in sacks given up by their offensive line and 126th in turnover margin. And again, they only played Bowling Green, Pittsburgh, and Tennessee Tech. We're all going to predict Florida's going to win this game. We're all going to predict that Florida's going to probably win by.
Don't you put words in my mouth, Dan? You have no idea what I'll predict at the end of the show.
That's true. You still think that you're betting your own money and buy or sell. So,
I said make believe.
You guys didn't Venmo Cam? You haven't been sending him the money for all this?
No.
Oh man.
Just a quick breakdown. Actually, Silk, what do you want to see, from the Gators against Tennessee?
I don't even know. Like, this team's terrible. I would like to see it just working on not a letdown. I want to see them come out with good energy. It's a night game, so I think they're gonna be piped up a little bit. I want to see a packed stadium and just a team that just want to show how good they are. Not be complacent from almost win to Alabama, but come out and ready to embarrass a inferior opponent. So that's what I want to see. I want to just see them dominate. I would like to see us maybe take some more shots downfield, work on some of our kinks. We need to work on some downfield passing. I like to see that. If 15 isn't healthy 100%, and that's the case, you really want him healthy and to get back, just sit him. Let Emory get some reps. All right, I'm not mad at that at this point. If that's the real reason, if he's not 100% healthy, then I'm sit. But I think Emory could use the reps.
I mean, I'm skeptical. Silk's. I think it's a scheduled tweet at this point, talking about not listening to Dan Mullen's press conference. But I think I actually believe Dan when he says because hamstrings are just so easy to re-aggravate. So I think I believe him when he says, we just didn't want to potentially lose Anthony for 8 weeks because we were trying to get 8 plays out of him against Alabama. And if that's the case, and you have, if the trainer tells you, hey, normally a grade 1 sprain, you're going to be out 2 to 3 weeks, compression, ice, rest. If you can bring him on the road and have him at 100% in 2 weeks in Lexington, I would send him again against Tennessee, like you said.
Yeah. Again, the logic doesn't make any sense to me about how he was able to play as a backup. But it is what it is. I don't.
Yeah. So if Emory goes down, then what? You risk him for the rest of the season?
That's what I mean.
Well,
right?
Who's the backup? Who plays if not Anthony? Then so if Emory gets hurt,
if that game doesn't matter that much, and you're concerned about the rest of the season, then the injury is still the injury if Emory goes down or not.
Right. I think that's kind of the point is, yes, Anthony Richardson is going to give you a better chance to win the game than Jalen Kitna or Carlos Del Rio would. But I don't understand that if he's healthy enough to play backup, why he wouldn't be healthy enough to play in
8
a
plays.
snap or 2 snaps or 8 snaps, right? That to me just doesn't kind of follow logical sense. I'm not saying that Florida should risk him, right? I'm not saying that Florida should put him out there and potentially re-aggravate the injury, but then you don't dress him. You don't put him in a position where you say, hey, he'll play if, right? Because it wasn't just if Emory Jones gets injured. It was if Emory Jones isn't kind of putting it together, right? That to me is where the logic doesn't fall. And again, this is Dan Mullen speaking to the media, which we all know doesn't really mean anything. But in that case, that there's some logical flaws there that I think that we're missing. But I don't think that Florida needs Anthony Richardson to beat Tennessee. Tennessee is not very good. They go into the year thinking that Joe Milton is going to be their starting quarterback. They've played.
Hey, that's like family, bro.
Yeah. Okay. Well,
It's my wife's cousin, bro.
Yeah,
okay. Well,
we will not disparage him.
we will move on quickly then. Next position group,
Listen to the
please.
show too, bro.
Next position group.
18 of 35 on the season, but Hendon Hooker is their quarterback.
Oh, we can talk trash about Joe too. I was just kidding. He's terrible.
Hendon Hooker is
Silk went from whoa, that's family. Don't talk about him. Actually, he's terrible. Go
No,
ahead.
he should have made better business decisions.
I mean, at least stay at Michigan and get the Michigan degree. You know what I mean?
Oh, he got his degree.
Very good. Yeah. Well, at least pick like a better school. Go to like Harvard for grad school or do something else, you know? But Hendon Hooker seems to be tossing the ball a little bit better. Again, you can't really compare, the opponents. He got 17 of 25 last week against Tennessee Tech. Tennessee does. He also is. He's a bit of a dual threat, but not a real dual threat kind of guy. So not a guy that I think you need to look out for. Tennessee struggling running the ball. Not 669 yards on the season, only averaging 4.65 yards per carry, which is something that you should see a lot better, especially when you have a Bowling Green game in there and a Tennessee Tech in there.
This team is terrible.
But yeah, so you know how bad a team is.
This is the game I fired Grantham if they get more than like 13 or something. Then I might fire him.
I mean, this is. We've talked about, Nick, you mentioned measuring stick game against Alabama. This is a measuring stick game against how well does your team come back from a defeat and beat the crap out of a team that they should beat the crap out of. I mean, Tennessee is no better than a 6-6 team, in my opinion. And I don't think that Josh Heupel is their future. So they'll be on the coaching search here again soon. But this is a team that you should mollywop, right? This is a 41-13 type of game.
Tennessee's won what? One time in this series since 2005.
Yeah, I think they're 1-17 in their last 18 or so, or 1-16 in their last 17, something like that.
And my guy Danny White goes out and just brings in Josh Heupel to lead Tennessee.
As Greg Schiano is 3-0 at Rutgers. Remember when they burn him at the stake?
I mean, it's got to be hard. It's got to be hard to be It's really got to be hard to be a Tennessee fan right now. I just don't know even where the excitement about the program is. And sure, the first year you're going to take some lumps with a new coach, but I'm looking at them and it's not an exciting product. I don't see a bright future coming anytime soon. There's nothing to get Heupel about in Knoxville. You like that one, so
that's what you did there.
That's why you come to this show, for those kind of puns.
No, we need to. We let you off the hook for the kicker missing the field goal as well.
No. I had to clear this up because people were getting after me on social media. I'm not a kicker advocate. Kickers and punters are different. Kickers are weird. College kickers. I forgot
punters are your people.
Punters are my people. Let's not lump them all in together. My guy Jeremy Jezza had a 50-some yarder. Kickers
he had some nice hang time too. Like he was doing this. There's only 2 of them, but he did his thing.
And,
all right, back to your take. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
He's not running around doing the Aussie punts, where you run off to one side of the field. Alabama's kicker, also Australian. I think there's been like 4 Australian kickers, including Crawshaw this year on Florida's schedule. Anyway, your poor wife's cousin, whoever's playing quarterback, Tennessee needs to figure out a way to protect the quarterback, or else you're going to be worrying about like what the health insurance is. Those numbers, the 115th in sacks given up. You've played Tennessee Tech and Bowling Green.
Mm-hmm.
Like Florida, this might be a game where guys are making money. It's a stat padding game. For pass rushers. So to me, I asked Dan Mullen about it today. I go back to 2018. You lose to Georgia, and then really come up and just goose egg. Really disappointing game the following week against Missouri. You can't afford that. Certainly things playing in your favor. It's a night game. It's a rivalry game. But to me, it's how mentally strong is your football team to put Alabama behind you and show up this week against Tennessee. Now, these situations are different because when you lost to Georgia in 2018, essentially season's done. Like, you're not getting to Atlanta. Right now, you're still in the driver's seat. Florida goes out and wins the rest of their SEC games. You're going to meet Alabama in December. So that's certainly a different situation. But I want to see that mental toughness, that maturity to put last Saturday behind you, go out and really, I think you said it still, really, you should just take care of business. So this should be third quarter, hey, getting some other guys in.
Long tailgate, a lot of drunk fans. It should be great vibes, should be celebratory. I do want to see them work with Copeland a lot more. I think Copeland deserves more targets. We need to throw to our wide receivers all together more, but I do want to see that chemistry worked on between those two. And maybe try to get some tempo going. I'm not one of those people that like to shelf plays and maybe keep things under the wraps. I want to see us work on some stuff. Execute some things, get some teams some stuff to worry about and to lose some sleep about a little bit. Go get some style points because the style points is what they remember when shit's close at the end of the season. They're trying to figure out who goes to the playoffs or who go to what New York Six Bowl or whatever. Get some style points for the recruits and everybody else that's on campus. So I just want to see a blowout. Just come out, dominate, do what they're supposed to do on the football field.
Absolutely. Speaking of recruits, just want to go back to the Alabama game, and what a hell of an atmosphere for these recruits. You could tell from the quotes after that they just had themselves a time, and that's where you just plug in hey, you can make an impact and get us over the hump, and this is the atmosphere you're getting yourselves in. Silk, Nick, you've hit the nail on the head. I think you just got to get after the quarterback. Their offensive line is bad. Florida's offensive line is good. Florida should be able to run the ball. Tennessee has struggled. Obviously, their game against Pittsburgh is the only one that you can really look at, and they just struggled concept-wise, scheme-wise. They just didn't look like a very good or sophisticated football team out there. So Florida on talent alone should win. But Silk, like you said, this is a game of style points. This is a game where you go in, you turn some heads and let people know, hey, Florida is not just a team that got lucky against Alabama and they're going to mail it in now. This is a team that can be reckoned with, and this is truly a top 10 and top 5 football program. And I think that it starts this week, and there should be, like I said, no reason that Florida doesn't, control this game from start to finish.
Man, we're setting up for like anything other than like a 45-3. We're gonna be sitting here next week being like,
I'm ready to fire somebody. I'm not against firing somebody for a bad performance or if the coach is not doing what they're supposed to. I do think somebody needs to speak to Jamarcus Weston since we're still talking about last game. I just had a flashback of him. What was that kickoff return about?
Well, I don't think anyone needs to speak to him because I think that will be the last time you see him on kickoff return. I think he was
He had that one, and he also had the one that he took out to the 17-yard line to start the game. It's like you just fair catching, right? You get the ball in the 25.
He knocked it out of bounds. Just like, yeah, I'm cool.
But I don't think he knew the rule, so I thought he thought, clearly, all right, well, clearly, even though I touched it, it hit. Wait, that wasn't expert analysis,
right?
That's
in
why
my
people
expert
keep coming
opinion,
back to
I
the
think
show.
he did not know the rule. And when he touched the ball and it hit the end zone, because he like walked away and like waved his hand at it, like, oh, that's fine.
Yeah, all right, whatever.
And then, lucky for him, Emery's like, I got you, fam. We're good. We'll just go 99 yards on the number 1 team in the country. But yeah, I think that's the last time Jamarcus Weston, possibly in his career, certainly this year, will be back fielding kicks.
I don't see him back.
He's from the
there in
muck,
Tennessee.
and sometimes I cape for it, but I'll allow that. I'll allow it, Nick.
Put the cape in the laundry. Get it ready for someone else. Not this one. I can't. So we talked about. I mean, you brought it up with Lingard. Obviously, he got a little frustrated on social media after the game. I understand that, but like, keep it to yourself. To me, if you can't get Bowman, Lingard, those guys in terms of running the ball, and
Special
I'm not taking Dameon Pierce, and I'm not taking Malik Davis off the field right now, and I think Naquan Wright needs to get involved more too. Why can't they? I mean, with the top end speed those guys have, why can't they return kicks?
Yeah,
get them involved somehow. You know, we said all offseason, like, you're going to be doing yourself a detriment if DeMarcus Bowman's not making an impact this year, and he didn't even play. Didn't play a snap against Alabama. What can he not handle? You know, a kickoff or a punt?
it's a great question, Nick.
If
you don't use it,
man.
If you don't use them, you're going to lose them.
If only one of us had access to ask a coach that exact question.
Who has that?
Yeah, Dan, don't be filling Nick questions. I tell you that. You don't rock with you like that, my boy.
Yeah.
I asked him something today. I can't even remember that I asked him today, but he handled it well today.
He was in a good mood today.
Yeah, it was.
I seen the quotes on the timeline. I'm like, yeah, he's like he's telling the truth today.
He looked like he was telling the truth today.
Letting his nuts hang a little bit.
He really put out a good performance, man. Shout out to the staff. They did a good job. From the visitor list to the performance on the field. You know what I'm saying? The team seemed focused. We didn't get a whole lot of off the field shenanigans this offseason. So overall, bro, like you just cry your tears on the timeline or on social media, but Dan Mullen's doing a good job, bro.
Absolutely. I do want to start to see some of these commitments come in. You know, Florida gets a crystal ball for Jalen Gibson today. They get another one for Azariah Thomas as well. They get one from the former offensive tackle that's committed to Pittsburgh, whose name is escaping me right now. But need to start seeing some of those roll in. You know, Florida's got themselves in a position to be able to get a really good recruiting class, but definitely want to start to see some of those names actually trickle in. Evan Stewart, the big name, that was expected this weekend, doesn't make it, missed his flight or something.
Missed the flight. Shout out to Monica Evers, man.
Yep.
And the Evers family. They're doing an incredible job recruiting as well. Somebody put out a real funny tweet. I forget his name. I think his name's Ryan. A real funny tweet with the 247 top recruiters, and they put Monica Evers at 1.
There you go.
With a profile pic. That was hilarious. So shout out to that family. They was busy on the timeline as well recruiting.
All right. Well, let's get into our over-under and our pick selection of the show.
Y'all thought I had money before the Bama game. Oh, boy.
So took out an interest-free loan.
Yes, man. I know now that I know that my bread good. Nick undersold us on wins. I already know that off the rip.
Yeah, oh yeah.
You screwed us on the wins, Nick.
You got you've got some catching up to do with your 4.5 interceptions with Khair.
That I do. We're sitting at what, 1 right now?
He's throwing at him though, surprisingly. So I like my chances because they are throwing at him.
I loved his quote today. He was like, he said, I get angry when they throw the ball at me. He goes, I think it's disrespectful.
Nick, I don't
get offended.
I'm not that far off. I mean, when you think about it mathematically, Florida's 1/4.
Oh,
don't put stats.
Actual numbers into my narrative.
Part of the show.
We may hit this
part of the show. We just spout off nonsense.
Saturday.
This is our segment, Nick, where you say something wrong, you get corrected, and all of a sudden. So
I won't stand for being corrected, Dan.
The Florida Gators are going to probably play at least 13 games, if not 14 games this season. You're 3 games in, you have an interception, you do the math. extrapolate that out, and we're actually right on pace for 14 or for 4.5 interceptions. So shout out to
right
me
now,
and,
dog. This is, to me, on paper, what he's doing, the way he's looking, is like the best looking defensive back since Joe Hayden.
That's not a bad assessment at all. I think that he's playing outstandingly. He went up, against Mechie. He went up against a lot of these wide receivers from Alabama that were recruited by every program in the country, and was able to shut them down. You have one, bad, defensive pass interference. He has a great pass breakup. Overall played lockdown, and that's all you can expect. I mean, you can't expect a guy to
Allen.
Right. I mean, and that's what you want, right? Like, you want to be able to put him on an island. Alabama's going to throw the ball. Somebody's going to catch, right? No DB has 0 passes against them, right? Well, what you want is you want to be able to limit those big plays and make an impact. And Kyer Elam, in my opinion, is the number 1 defensive back in the country right now.
Oh, hands down, man.
And I don't think that's homework talking, right? Like, so me, whoever, you can call us Homer Simpson all you want, but I think that he is right now your favorite to win the Thorpe Award, and I think he's your favorite to be the first defensive back drafted in the next class.
And I think we like
him or Stingley, right?
It's got to be, yeah.
No, Stingley ain't moving and grooving like this. I like Stingley a lot. I thought it was closer than what it was, but watching how Kyer moving right now, we'll get to see Stingley versus Bama here soon.
All right, well, let's get to our pick selection, as always, brought to you by our friends over at Prize Picks. If you want to do some picking and wagering on whether Emory Jones is going to throw for more than 150 yards in a game and Dameon Pierce runs for more than 67, or maybe you want to do, Kyer Elam gets an interception, the Miami Dolphins score 21 points. Whatever the case may be, take a look at prizepicks.com. I don't even want to talk about the game yesterday. Prizepicks.com. Promo code SG will give you $1 for $1 match up to $100. So I think you said one of the guys on the roll-up shows up big this season so far. So a lot of people have already used the promo code. A lot of people making money. So visit prizepicks.com. Use promo code SG. If anything, if you just want to check it out, go in and sign up for us. Just to sign up, take a look around, and still that $1 for $1 match still exists for you. Prizepicks.com, promo code SG. All right, boys, let's get into over-unders of the game. Gators start the season with 6 sacks. And they've had a couple against Alabama, 1 against FAU. Does Florida get back to their sack game against Tennessee with 4.5 sacks or more?
Yeah. Give me mark me down for on that. That Tennessee's trash. I'm about to buy everything, bro. I seen all I need to see last week.
Blind buy.
I'm just going to throw a wrench into that.
Yeah, I'm just ready to go to Atlanta, beat them boys, and go to the playoffs, man. That's all I'm ready for at this point. So I'm buying everything. Let's ride.
Yeah, I'm buying that. I'm buying.
Nick trying to be like me now. Look at him.
Yeah, I'm going to buy.
You didn't believe last week. Now you're trying to be like me and buy everything. Come on, let's go.
Buying.
I'm going to buy that one as well. All right, guys. Emory Jones, we presume, is going to get a large majority of the snaps, if not all of them. Do you buy or sell that he throws for 225 yards or more against Tennessee?
Yeah, I'm buying it. 225, that should be easy.
Oh, for 225.
Nick on the season,
sell
153, 303, and 181.
Sell.
Okay. What do you think is a good number?
I think 180 rushing is a good number.
180 yards rushing for Emory Jones or for the entire offense?
For Emory Jones.
That is an unbelievably high number. I will sell that.
Listen, I'm just being ignorant with that one. I'm throwing crazy numbers out there. I just don't think I don't know if you play Anthony, so maybe if Anthony's not playing, and because I don't know if you're going to get a Carlos Del Rio into the game or shout out to STA Jack Engel. So maybe he can get to that 225 number, but I'm still frugal. I'm the frugal host on the pod, so I will sell 225.
I'm going to buy 225. Goes for 113 against FAU, 151 against USF, 181 against Alabama. Splitting time. Alabama obviously has a significantly better defense than Tennessee. I think that Florida airs it out a little bit. I think they need to get him comfortable throwing those intermediate to long passes. I think they try. I think he hits on a few. I think Tennessee is atrocious in their backfield. I think he goes for about 246.
Mark me down for 300.
300.
300, baby. Tennessee is trash.
That's lofty.
Yeah, I already feel
Tennessee is
bad
trash.
about
All right.
it. So
Huh?
I said I already
Nick
feel bad
gets
about
it.
that.
It's already cashed. Gators get 400 yards rushing against FAU, 363 against USF, 258 against Alabama. They are right now the number 2 team in yards per game and the number 2 team in yards per carry. I believe. Do the Gators get more than 300 yards rushing against Tennessee?
Yeah. You know what time it is.
Silk's got the Gators from around 600 yards of offense.
Silk's got the Gators for 912 yards of offense.
Yeah, bro. Remember that kid that thought Florida State was gonna get like 1,000,000 yards? That's me right now. I'm buying
that guy had every receiver with like 200 yards, every running back with like 100 plus. Yeah, that was wild.
They got like 178 total.
I love what's happening in Florida State right now. All right,
that's beautiful, man.
Nick, buy or sell 300 yards rushing?
I'll buy 300. If I'm going low on passing, I gotta buy the rushing.
Understood. And I'm going to go the opposite way. I think the Florida throws the ball a little bit more this game. They're able to get some chunk yards against that atrocious Tennessee defense. I think they end up somewhere around 250, 275. Still an outstanding rushing effort. But I do think that they're going to try to work on their passing game a little bit against Alabama.
Dan does just look great when he can run the ball. Like, you can tell he's in his wheelhouse, dog, when he got a running game.
Bro, it is wild to think that Florida had one of the top passing offenses in the country last year. I think they were number 1, and the number 2 rushing offense the next season. And the year before that, they were a heavy rushing team too. So to watch him be able to scheme with his players, I mean, it's truly fantastic, which I think makes some of the small things that we're missing frustrating, because it's like, man, we're so close. We're such a great head coach. It's just some of our game callers, just some of these head coach decisions can get a little bit better. And then finally,
complain though. Sorry.
Tennessee, atrocious. Nick, you mentioned it on turnover margin, minus 2.5 on the season. Tennessee is 126 in the country. With that being said, let's set that at the line. Do the Gators force 2.5 turnovers? Buy or sell 2.5? Buy. Silk, I know what time it is. He's just nodding his head for the YouTube fans. And then,
Silk, this an audio platform.
You know what time it is, man. Check out the Hue Blow. In the words of Jay-Z, I wrapped that bitch with a Gator band.
Man. I'm going to buy too. I think the Gators get a couple interceptions. I think Tennessee goes down big.
Jay-Z named that Hue Blow Tebow.
Tebow. So, yeah, I'm going to buy. That's buy or sell. Let's get your score prediction, and then let's get an offensive MVP and a defensive MVP. Nick, we'll start with you, buddy.
Score prediction. This might be ignorant. 42-10, Florida.
42-10. Okay, give me an offensive MVP and then a defensive MVP.
Offensive MVP, I'm going to go with Malik Davis. I think Silk threw the praise on him earlier. I think he's having a great year. This is like in your money year. He's looked incredible. I think Florida's going to be able to run the ball. This is a game where we should be able to see more DeMarcus Bowman and Lorenzo Lingard. But I'll go with Malik Davis. And also shout out to Damian Pierce. 5 touchdowns on 18 carries.
That's pretty good.
Guy's just living in the end zone. Had 2 again against Alabama. So I'll go Davis. And then on defense, I'm going to go Zach Carter. I think he gets a couple sacks.
Shout out to Damian Pierce response to Edgar when he asked him that Bama question. That was hilarious.
They've got an interesting history. It was like after a game, Pierce's freshman year, I think, Edgar was like completely taken aback by Pierce saying he was like hog hunting, I think. And they went back and forth for like 10 minutes after a game talking about hunting hogs.
Well, you got quite the dynamic there. Let me go score wise. I like where Nick was at with it.
That was funnier than it should have been. Sorry, go ahead.
No, it's all good. 48, 10, 13, around there. 48-10 is something ignorant. I do. I hate going big scores like that because I know Dan like to shut it down, dog. Like he don't like to get the style points like that a little bit. So, but I'm just gonna go that many points because I got that many yards. So somebody got to score if we're marching up and down the field like that.
Yeah, I'm gonna go 41. Oh, offensive MVP and defensive MVP.
Offensive MVP, give me Emory Jones.
Okay.
I think he's comfortable. I think Dan's gonna give him a little bit more space again this week. He'll know he's the guy. Big game in the swamp at night. I think he spreads the ball around and well, gets some good stat lines, a lot of touchdowns, running and passing. Have one of those days where he probably throw for 2, run for 2. So give me Emory Jones on offense. Defense. Let me see who I want to go with defense, man. That's a good question. Everybody's been playing pretty good in the front 4. Linebackers been a little bit tricky. Jeremiah Moon is a grown man. He really is. Made some big boy checks these past 3 weeks. Give me. I'm just go Jeremiah Moon.
Okay. That was gonna be my
Jeremiah
pick.
Moon.
So I got another one for you guys. I'm gonna go 41-13. I think that Florida just controls all facets of the game. So you do bring up a good point. I think that they do get a little conservative when Florida goes up big, but I think that they do need to continue to improve. There's a lot of areas of opportunity for this team to continue to improve, and you've got to make sure that you're firing in all cylinders. Kentucky, is still a team that Florida struggled a little bit with in the past. You still have Missouri, you still have LSU, you still have some other games that you need to get, working out before. I forgot when that Missouri game is. I think that's after Georgia, but you need to get yourself in a position to be able to compete and be firing on all cylinders against that Georgia team. So I'm going to go 41-13. Offensive MVP. Let me go somewhere a little bit different this week, and I'm going to go with the DeMarcus Bowman. I think that Florida is going to rely heavily on him. I think that Florida is going to be up big, so I think that they're going to go back to him, and I think he's going to get some chunk yards. If not him, that's a wild card pick. If not him, I'm going to go
wild card.
Yeah, I'm going to go with Kamari Gamble. I think that he has another big game. I think that they're going to start seeing a lot more of him, and I think that Kamari is an outstanding player that can move the ball against Tennessee. On defense, Silk, you hit it. Nick, you hit it. So I'm going to go with somebody a little bit different. I'm going to buy into the hype from last week. Finally saw him play his best game. I think it's going to carry over. I'm going to go with Brenton Cox to get 1.5 sacks this game and see him get a couple hurries, a couple pressures, a couple tackles. So I'm going to go with Brenton Cox on defense.
He almost had that pick, man. What happens? Game might be different if he can get his hands on that.
Yeah, that's the thing. When you talk about mistake-free football, and Florida needs to recruit a little bit better so that you don't have to play mistake-free football because it's very tough to win playing perfect football, or it's very hard to play perfect football. So it's those small things. It's those small differences in talent, those small differences in size that potentially, cost Florida that game. Being able to get that interception.
He's got to make those plays, man. It happens, but you just got to be able to make those plays, bro. The kicker got to be able to make extra points, and you got to be able to catch an interception that comes straight to your face, man. The coaches did a good job putting these guys in the position to be able to win this game and really do something. The moral victory did quite a bit momentum-wise for our program. So we got another shot at these guys. Ain't the last time we're going to see them, but we got to stay focused each game, each week. Looking forward to this season, man. Way better than I thought.
Absolutely. Well, so let's get a Manscaped ad read. Nick, you got the song of the week, so get yourself ready for that.
Manscaped. They say balls was empty. Make sure your balls are shaved. Go to manscaped.com. Use coupon code SG at checkout for 20% off. The Lawnmower 4.0 is still the best trimmer in the game. If you haven't used it, you're not smooth. You're living like a heathen out here, fellas. You're too grown to be bushy out here. Trim it, slim it, have it right and fit, man. All ready for the Christmas season. Ladies, if you're a lady and you listen to this show, holiday season's here, in the words of Dan Thompson.
They are.
Right? It's always a holiday near. Get that loved one in your life, whether it's a teenage son or a husband. They need to take care of them family jewels. Coupon code SG at checkout for 20% off and free shipping.
Very good. Nick, take us out the song of the week and see you guys at the same corner, same time next week.
I'm gonna go J. Cole, Pride is the Devil.
Ooh. That's quite the jingle right there, Nicholas.
Quite the jingle.
That's quite the jingle. I'll let that sizzle in y'all spirit tonight.
All right, boys. Same time, same corner next week. See you guys later.